Okay, so I'm still getting stuff ready in this room. This spindle here on this, yeah, it's a runout gauge. It was rusted. So I put it in my vise last night, kind of polished it up. This also had some rust on it. I put it in my drill press and spun it around and polished it. It's pretty nice now. I've got a trimmer that I'll be setting up on the bench here. This will be attached because I'm not going to have anything else on the bench till possibly right here. As I said in a previous video, I might be putting a press here, but I am not positive. So I got my shelves up. Got my shelves up. Got my shelves up. I probably end up putting another shelf somewhere up there. And then over here on this wall, once I find it, I've got a big metal plate that just to hang the acro bins, like this green one here. I've got probably have still over 2 dozen red ones that are a little smaller that I'll use here to put all my brass prep tools in and who knows what. This area here I'll be staging some tool heads that go on top of a Lee Classic turret press with the heads already set up. There'll be some extra dies, probably something like that right here. There's going to be my Lyman T-Mag. It's got a couple extra turrets. They'll sit behind it. It'll be all set up. Over here, as I said earlier, my rock chucker. This hole, I drilled it all the rest of the way through it. So there'll be a hose that goes down below into a pail. And then, of course, I have some more extra space here for dies. This stuff on this shelf here is just temporary. Probably some dies or something similar, maybe some decapping dies, something like that. And I still have some room up here on this other shelf for more powder, who knows what. And this, you can see this. These are 2 4x4 posts. They're pretty stout. Holding this up. Got a couple screws holding them together. No big deal. They didn't need to be that way. But got posts under some stress points. This bench is really, really, really heavy. And the rock checkers are going to be mounted directly over this post. The Lyman just adjacent to this one, and that's mostly because of the steel that goes underneath that I mentioned earlier, like this piece here. It'll go up underneath behind this 1x4. I'll get to that sometime this coming week. And then, like I said, over here in this corner here where all this other stuff is temporarily staged, there's a big black metal cabinet on this side of it is a shelf. It'll have all my reloading books, manuals in it. Maybe I'll show that to you in a little bit if I remember. Straight up, I've got all my light is ready to be wired. The fixtures themselves, I'd have to do a little bit of prep work on those, but possibly tomorrow I'll have those up. I was supposed to have help today, but they had some other commitments. All right, over here I can finally get to my vise because I moved all this stuff out of the way that's not there anymore. Those clamps were for holding the steel down while I was drilling. And then this is the metal cabinet that has all my manuals in it. This upper shelf, I have more manuals that'll fit on the bottom shelf, so that there'll be more books on the top one. And this is a second gun cabinet. And once it gets emptied, I'll move it or have some help moving it. Around behind me, there's the coax, there's the lineman, there's the rock chucker. Lots of work to do. Things to remove. I have 2 of those RCBS powder stands. I may just mount that one and leave that one temporarily so I don't have to mess with it. There's a Forster bench primer that I'm going to set up and see how well it works before I decide to move this Lee bench primer. I got lots of stuff to move off of those shelves in the reloading room, out of here into that room. It's gonna be quite a project. There's a back there, that blue thing is a arbor press. All those yellow boxes are dies that go with that arbor press. Those are L.E. Wilson. All the red ones there are Forster. And of course, you recognize green boxes usually as either RCBS or Redding. There's a box of Redding in there. And the Creedmoor dies on the top. More RCBS dies. I have another bullet comparator. It's, or not comparator, a concentricity gauge. It's kind of rusted. I'll have to clean it up and see how well it does. That's my primer stash. That's all I've got right now. About 3,000 small rifle primers, a couple thousand, maybe 2,500, possibly 3,000 small pistol, a couple thousand large pistol, large rifle. I got Magnum and non-Magnum. And I gave away to somebody some shot shell primers. And there's, yeah, but that's all I got. I wish I had enough to load up all that brass that's on this wall. All that brass that's on this wall. All that brass. And of course, that shelf underneath that bench there has got a bunch of brass. That box sitting back in the corner, the white one, is full of 223 or 556 brass. It's fully prepped. And then in another room behind me, in a completely other room, there's a whole bunch of 223 brass that's ready to load. There's a couple tool heads for the lineman. This big cast iron one here is for an old Redding press, which is right now down on the ground next to the Lee Classic turret. And there's a particular cartridge already set up on that head. I couldn't tell you what it is off the top of my head. I'd say it's a pistol cartridge, but that's just a guess. And then the other day when I was looking around, I found 2 more blank toured heads. Oh, there's one of them. And I heard these are really, really difficult to find right now. Almost as difficult to find these as primers. But I have 2 more besides the ones that I already have dies on. You can see there's one there, and there's one there, and there's one down there. So there's 5. I don't know if I have 6. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6 total. Okay. Anyways, that's a real short tour, and it's probably boring as hell, and you don't really care.